Welcome to the Medovia Menopause Podcast, your trusted source for information about menopause and midlife. Join us each episode as we have great conversations with great people. Tune in and enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. April and I are thrilled today to welcome our guest, Dr. Mindy Pelz. Dr. Mindy is a pioneering voice in women's health and one of the most trusted educators on hormonal readiness. She's a best-selling author, keynote speaker, and educator whose work bridges cutting-edge science with deeply personal storytelling. And her books, Fast Like a Girl, The Menopause Reset, and her newest, that's coming out this week, Age Like a Girl, have become your go-to guides for women ready to reclaim their energy, their confidence, and their vitality. Through her YouTube channel and podcast, Dr. Mindy has reached millions of women around the world with her practical, compassionate approach to hormonal health and midlife transformation. And what sets her apart is how she connects the dots between neuroscience, lifestyle, and the emotional journey of womanhood, reminding us that the female body isn't broken. It's brilliantly designed. And in her newest book, Age Like a Girl, which I loved, reframes menopause as a time of reinvention, a neurochemical upgrade that rewires the brain for confidence, clarity, and renewed purpose. And so this is a conversation about much more than symptoms or slowing down. It's about an awakening. It's about coming home to yourself, to the woman you were always meant to be. Dr. Mindy, welcome to the show. We're thrilled to have you.
Yeah, thank you. That was quite an intro. I really appreciate it. I'm like, wow, I don't know who wrote that, but thank you.
It's always great to hear it, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Your own bio, for sure. Well, this book feels deeply personal. You called it the most authentic work yet. What made this one different from you for your previous books like Fast Like a Girl? That was my intro, and I loved it to Dr. Mindy. But this is your most authentic work. How'd you get there?
Well, it's interesting because the Menopause Reset, when I wrote that book, I was in my early 40s, and it really probably should have been called the Perimenopause Reset. And that was a book that was born out of my YouTube audience asking me over and over again, can you put in writing all the things you have discovered about balancing your hormones through lifestyle? And that was 13 years ago. Wow. When I first started to put that book together. It was self-published, and then Hay House bought it and we republished it just about 4 years ago. And so that was a request from my audience. Fast Like a Girl came because I was so frustrated watching all these men stand up and say, this is how everybody should fast. And meanwhile, my YouTube channel was exploding with women whose hair was falling out. They were gaining weight. They were getting all these crazy symptoms because they were trying to fast the same way as men were because they were following these books. And I had come up with some really innovative thoughts around the fasting cycle and when to fast and when not to fast. And so that felt like a book that was clinical experience. I had watched it. I knew it worked so well because I'd watched all the people on my socials. I'd seen all the women in my clinic use this in and out sort of rhythm of fasting. So that was sort of like a more clinical book. Age Like a Girl. So when I started researching this book 10 years ago, I wanted to answer the question, what's the purpose of menopause? Because in my clinic, I had all these women coming in their 40s that would sit with me and they would say, I have an amazing husband. My kids are killing it at school. I live in a gorgeous home. My practice was in the middle of Silicon Valley. And I'm miserable. I'm suicidal. There's nothing I can do that is going to make my life any better, and I'm concerned. And it was woman after woman after woman telling me this again, about 13 years ago. And so what I started to do was try to figure out what was the neurochemical shift that was happening to women as they went through menopause. And we weren't talking about HRT. Menopause back then was still like, don't say the M word.
Right.
Don't tell me if you have a hot flash, just leave the room. I don't really want to know about it. So we've gone in that time from a cultural hush to where we sit now, which in my opinion is cultural chaos. Mm-hmm. We have women all over the world being like, I don't care anymore. I've got hot flashes and you're just going to sit here and watch me burn. Yes, I'm a bitch. Yes, I'm depressed. Yes. Yeah. And we're like owning our symptoms. Yeah. But the only solution that the cultural conversation is bringing to these symptoms at this particular moment is hormone replacement therapy. And it's not, hormone replacement therapy isn't the answer. It's not like a magic bullet that you put a patch on and all of a sudden all your symptoms improve. There is a learning curve with it. You've got to have the right doctor. You have to decide, do you like a pill or a patch or a troche or a pellet? There's so much to understand about it. So while the world has been focused on that, I've gone back to this idea of what's the purpose of menopause. And that was the book I wanted to write. I wanted to prove to women that this experience of going from a reproductive cycle into a body that doesn't have a reproductive cycle, there is a reason for that. There is a reason that we are a species that lives, if we're lucky, over 40% of our life will be spent post-reproductively. Yeah. That alone is crazy because every other mammal dies very, very quickly. The female will die when her reproductive system ends. And we live 42.5% of our life without a reproductive system. That is not by mistake. That is by design. So what I wanted to do was answer, why were we left? Why do we have why do we thrive when we get to the other side of menopause? So now I'm coming to answer your question here, which is because I want to sort of set up the mindset. So as I was going through this 10-year journey, I was able, with my lifestyle and with some low levels of hormone replacement therapy, I was able to help the weight gain. I was able to help the insomnia. I was able to, the hot flashes were never much of a thing for me. The dryness that a lot of women had, I never had any of that. But what really hit me was the mental symptoms. And somewhere in my early 50s, I started getting suicidal thoughts. I started having chronic depression. I started feeling the rage that a lot of women were experiencing. And when I realized that, I dove deeper into the research to go, okay, what is going on here? Because I too have an amazing husband. I too have an amazing life. Why is my brain stress intolerant? Why is my brain hypervigilant and has the looping thoughts? Why don't I care about things that I used to care about? And that's when I really discovered this neurochemical shift. And the reason it's the most personal to me is because until I found the solution, I had pretty much a mental breakdown from all of the stress, from trying to perform for a culture that, has told me you should look a certain way, you should act a certain way, you should be a certain way. And I broke. And when I finally broke, I actually isolated myself. I went into an Airbnb. I extracted myself from my husband, from my family, from work, and I sat down and wrote this book as I was putting my own pieces together.
Wow.
Lots of women want to do that.
Yeah.
Lots of women want to take off. Do you recommend that strategy?
I totally recommend it.
Yeah.
It is the best thing I did, because what happened was the body anxiety got so exhausting that I couldn't find my own energy. I couldn't figure out how to calm myself. And I started just noticing everybody was irritating me. And I thought, I got to isolate myself so I can find my voice. Yeah. I can find my energy. And it's little things. It was like, I want to decide when I want to eat dinner, not when dinner's right for the family. I want to decide even, how do I want to dress? How do I want to think? Who do I want to hang out with? What shows do I want to watch? Like, all of that was done through the lens of, well, what's my husband watching? What's my husband want to eat? What do my kids need? I wanted to decide how much do I want to work? But it was always like, no, what does the business need? What does my team need? Like, I was a professional at putting everybody's needs ahead of my own, that I literally couldn't find my own voice. I had, my therapist said to me last year, it was last summer, right before I started to completely melt down. She said to me, Mindy, you have time, you have money, your kids are launched, you create your life however you want. What do you want? And do you know, I couldn't answer, what do I want?
Yep.
Oh, Dr.
You
Mindy,
resonate.
you
Yes.
say that all the time. We're health coaches, and you say to women, what do you want? And they've never taken the time to think about it. I don't know
That's it.
what I want, right?
Yeah.
Wow. But
Yeah.
you had a great therapist because she told you to just go, Dr. Mindy. Take the
Yeah.
time. You've got the money, you've got the time. How long did you retreat? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah. 4 months.
Wow.
So it was originally supposed to be a 2-month process, but then my neighborhood burned, and I had on the actual, and I tell the story in the book, but what happened to me is at the end of 2024, I had lost a really good friend. He died at 52, and he was like a brother to me. And it really shook me because his lifestyle was impeccable, and he literally laid down and had a heart attack and was out. And he was just a rock in my life, and now he wasn't around. And my sister came to me at the end, like on New Year's Day. It was like New Year's Eve day, and said to me, I feel like you are becoming more and more distant, and I want to know how to have a relationship with you. And I told her, I was like, you know what? I can't tell you how to have a relationship with you until I have a relationship with me. I don't have a personal relationship with me. So how can I tell you what it would look like to have a relationship with me through your lens? But what I really need is a big sister.
Wow.
I'm like, I'm breaking. This is before the fires. I'm breaking. Can you just be a big sister and guide me through a mental breakdown that I'm having?
Yeah.
And she was like, yep, sign me up. And then a week later, I was in the LA fires. And so I was supposed to be in LA I was going to take 2 months off is what I was going to do. And then when the fires hit, I couldn't function. I mean, and if you've ever had a trauma before, this is a little too graphic, but I didn't shower for weeks, and it actually took my best friend to like pick me up and say, when's the last time you ate? When's the last time you showered? I couldn't remember passwords. My brain was completely crashing on me. So the only place I could go was to be alone. And when I was alone, I actually started to feel normal. So 4 months of that, writing this book, and I spent a lot of time in nature. I spent a lot of time meditating. I spent a lot of time, I didn't even watch TV. I just listened to music. Like, I really tried to get to know who is in there. Who is Mindy?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so vulnerable.
Yeah.
Just being so
Thank you.
vulnerable
Thank
is
you
so
for
good.
sharing.
It's such a great example for other women.
Thank you.
And you talked about the wildfires in your opening story, and I appreciate that because you're sharing some of your personal self. And that was a moment of almost a literal and symbolic cleansing for you.
Yeah.
Both that and isolating yourself and spending time getting to know Dr. Mindy. And I'm thinking about how you stopped in that moment of anxiety and trauma and really breakdown. And so many women that we talk to are in that same place, and it can feel like it's an ending. It can feel like, my life is over because I really can't climb out of this shit. So
it's really true.
How do I get out? And yet here you are as an example of someone that did. And I'm wondering, you write about menopause being an initiation rather than an ending. And I'm hoping that you can explain what you mean by that, because I think this is a really important piece here as we reframe menopause and how we look at menopause.
Yeah, this is the biggest thing I want to open up in the culture with this book is how do we start looking at menopause through the lens that it is actually a woman's get out of jail free card? And let me explain why. So when estrogen comes in, when we go through puberty, we start to get what we call a cross-referenced brain. Estrogen links our right hemisphere and our left hemisphere. And so every decision that we make starting at puberty, we bring both hemispheres of our brain to that decision. The left hemisphere is the logical. It is the goal-setting brain. And the right hemisphere is creativity and it's emotional connection. So when we, and I love saying it this way, when we are drugged on estrogen, we are always thinking through the lens of relationships and making sure that our decisions are right for everybody. You mix that with a culture, a patriarchal culture that has taught women that if you are, in order to be worthy, you need to be selfless. This was Carol Gilligan's work. I wrote about this I have a whole chapter on it. And what she did is she studied boys and girls in the 1980s, and she would ask a boy and a girl what they wanted to eat. And when they were 9, they would tell you exactly what they wanted to eat. She'd ask that same question to the same boy and the same girl at 11. The boy would tell you exactly what he wants to eat, but the girl would hesitate for a moment. By 13, when she had gone through puberty, the boy will tell you exactly what he wants to eat, and the girl will say, I don't know, what are you going to eat? That's an example of a relational brain. We have been walking around, whose problem do we need to fix? Who do we need to please? What do we need to look like? How do I get love? How do I be worthy from the world outside? And the world outside says, oh, if you're a size 2, if you're polite, if you don't have wrinkles, if you look a certain way, we will love you. When we go through menopause and we lose estrogen, we lose the ability to bring both of these hemispheres to all of our decisions, which it sounds horrible, but it's beautiful. Because now we can move to what we call more of a lateralized brain. And it's funny, I was with a bunch of friends this weekend, and I was telling this, they were asking me what the book was about, and I was sharing with them, and one of my friends was dating this man who's in his 80s, and he's listening to this, and he goes, oh, so you get more of a male brain then. And I'm like, yeah, we do. We are able to sit in a decision and see it through logic and focus on it without taking everybody's opinion into consideration. And we can move to the right hemisphere and we can sit on the couch with our girlfriend or, our friends and have a deep emotional connection. We no longer make every decision through this relationship brain, which is why it appears as if we don't care. But But all we're doing is we have moved to a new brain. That brain can actually look out for ourselves a lot better. It's like I've been telling people who've been interviewing me, I'm 3 years post-menopausal. I'm in love with this book. I can't wait to get it out there. If you had interviewed me when I was perimenopausal, right now, when I'm talking to you, I'd be concerned, am I meeting your audience's needs? Right now, I'm not thinking about your audience. No offense. Sorry, people listening.
No offense taken.
Yeah, I'm thinking about how to explain this so that women can start to wake up and tell their truth and empower themselves. Whereas the younger version of me took everybody's opinion into consideration. You drop that. But what you're left with, right? Do you resonate with that?
100%.
Oh, 100%. Because I've had people say, "Oh, you're selfish." I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not
Yeah.
selfish. I've just stopped caring about what other people think
That's right.
and taking care of everyone else. That's not selfish. It's self-care.
That's right.
Actually, it's not selfish.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you go back to the beginning story, when I isolated myself for 4 months, a lot of people ask me like, what did your husband say? And I'm like, honestly, at that point, I didn't care. I knew that for my survival and to bring back a vibrant person back to the marriage, I had to get to know myself. I had to unwind the people pleasing and the codependency. And with the postmenopausal brain I had, that became so much easier. And when we look, two statistics started this book. The first one was that the most common time for a woman to kill herself is the decade between 45 and 55.
Yeah. That was staggering.
Yeah.
So we have to, we can't just say, oh, she didn't get HRT, and so that's why she did it. I think what happens is women wake up in that decade and they look around and they go, oh my God, this is the life I created. I don't want to live this life anymore. How do I let these people know that I don't want to do this life anymore? Which is why we need to show that menopause is initiating you into a new version of yourself. Because that same woman who was going to kill herself, if she understood it was her brain was rewiring and she's looking at her life very differently, then what she would do is go, okay, I need to be a new version of me, a more authentic version of me. And then she could go down that path and that process, as opposed to, I'm going crazy. I don't want to be married anymore. I don't want to be living in this house anymore, which was a big thing. I didn't want to live in my house anymore. I was like, I can't be in this house here anymore. This family home that has so many good memories. I'm like, I don't want to be here anymore. We need to open this conversation up so women stop killing themselves, because that is a natural transition through this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it seems like there's like urgency in your voice around this too. Like, we can't mess around. We need to let everybody know that this is going on and that you can figure out who you are and you can spend time on this, and it is okay to do that.
Thank you. There is urgency.
Granted, right? Permission granted.
Yeah, great.
Not that we need permission, but sometimes we think we do.
Good point. Good point. How many times, like my friend group, I've even as a strong, powerful woman, as recent as 6 months ago, I said something to one of my friends. I said, well, yeah, my husband's going to let me do that. And she goes, excuse me?
He's going to let you?
Yeah.
He's going to let you? And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I just said that. Like, if we truly, another quote I have in the book is that menopause is a mirror. It's a mirror to show you what you like about yourself and what you don't like about yourself. And what we're doing, the urgency that I really want to point out is that right now we're saying you're suffering because of you didn't get the right doctor. But we need to bring into the conversation, maybe the rage is because you're tired of people pleasing. Maybe the irritability is because you have said yes when you really meant to say no, and you're resentful. Maybe you can't sleep because your sympathetic nervous system is so on overload from all the fixing, all the pleasing, all the things you've been trying to do for everyone else so that you can feel worthy. What I think menopause is it's a time for us to feel worthy just because we fall in love with ourselves and we stand up and say our truth and we speak what we finally wanted to say, but we kept quiet because once estrogen came in, we started to really think about relationships in like, I don't want to hurt that person.
Right.
You don't think that when you go into postmenopausal and years. And I want women to say, I don't want to hurt me.
Yes.
Wow.
That's
powerful.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's so, because I even talking to my 77-year-old mother, letting her know she is okay for her to make the decisions that she wants to make.
Yeah.
That's just like, we need to like empower each other to be able to do that when we're ready to.
Oh my gosh, you bring up such a good point. My 86-year-old mom, my 89-year-old dad had spinal surgery this summer. And so I needed to make sure my mom was okay. They've been married for 60 years, like they're both still thriving. And so my mom started to rely on her girlfriends to drive her to go visit my dad. And she was so happy. And I said to her, Mom, I've never seen you like be with your girlfriends so much, and you're so lit up. Why don't you do that more often? And she's like, well, I can't leave your father at home by himself.
Oh, I've heard that too.
I'm like,
What?
of course you can. Of course you can.
Wow.
So if you stop and you look at it through this lens where we have been behaving and been performing in a certain way because the culture told us we would be good and we would be worthy if we do that, what I'm hoping women do is they pick up this book and they finally go, okay, wait, what do I want? What am I doing for me now? That's the initiation, is what are you doing for you now?
Yeah.
And that makes your book
armor, right?
Yeah.
Shedding the armor. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it puts your book on a different plane to other menopause books. I just have to say, because you talk more about that than any other pieces of menopause. And I think it's a really good place for women to hear and get permission that it's okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think, so I want to shift because I know that myself, being my little Enneagram 1.
Oh,
I
nice.
Get
you know your Enneagram.
Are you Enneagram 1?
I'm a 7.
You're 7. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. My daughter's
I'm
a
a 7.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Great. Okay, but we can go back to your oneness. That's
fine. Thank you.
I rely on
I like
her
to be
one.
in control. Right.
Her 1 gets us to the airport.
Great.
On
We
time.
like ones. Yeah. Keep us on track.
Organized. And speaking of ones, I love lists, right? So, okay, we have this information. We know this. How do we move from this place of where we are, this chaos, to shedding the armor? How do we help women move through the grief and the loss and the anger to this place of coming home?
It's such a good question. So first, let's talk about the armor. One of the things that I discovered in all my research is that we're not just losing estrogen and progesterone when we go through this process, but actually estrogen, one part of estrogen called estradiol, stimulated and facilitated my research over 12 neurochemicals. So whenever estrogen was around, we had dopamine, serotonin, GABA, oxytocin, glutamate, BDNF, melatonin. Like estradiol was the diva of all hormones. So when we lose estrogen, and even if you're taking hormone replacement therapy, you still have you have the lowest amount of estrogen you've ever had in your life, and these neurochemicals start to wane. Now, what's interesting about that is I think of it like an armor, where when estrogen was around, it was almost like we had a neurochemical buffer where somebody would ask us, hey, do you want to, sign up? Like, you want to work in your kid's classroom today? And we're like, sure, that would make me feel good. And then all of a sudden, dopamine goes down and serotonin goes down, and we're not motivated to do that. And so there's this raw version of you. So the first thing I want to say is if you're thinking different and you're in this process and the things you cared about before and you stop caring about, or if you have a lot of rage or you have a lot of irritability or you have a lot of depression, and I'll talk about what each one of those means here in a moment, that is a sign that you are ready to change. So that is not a flaw in your makeup. That is a gift that says, okay, what are you depressed about? Are you depressed because you don't love your life? Well, then what can we do to put things into it that you love? What is anxiety? What are you fearful of? Are you, like a lot of women are worried, what am I going to do once my kids leave the house? Who am I then?
Yeah.
That's where anxiety can come in. I think rage is so many women that are like, I'm so tired of taking care of everybody else that I just can't do it anymore. Julie Gottman, I spent a day with her.
Julie Gottman.
Yeah, she's awesome. And she talks
From
about
Seattle.
nice. She talks about how resentment is a sign that you've been saying yes when you really wanted to say no. So these are really important because when depression shows up, what I'm hoping women will say is, okay, so I'm depressed. Well, I know that I've lost some dopamine, so my motivation's down. I don't have as much estrogen. So what can I do today to bring dopamine back? Well, dopamine loves novelty. So do something new, change up your routine. And then so I'm not talking about blowing up your whole life. I'm just saying when these symptoms show up, instead of going to Instagram and seeing people say, well, you didn't get the right doctor and you don't have the right HRT, what if you look at your life and say, I need to change my routine. I need to bring back the novelty. I need to break the routine. I need to learn something new. That's what, and then all of a sudden your moods go up. Oxytocin's a really interesting neurochemical that estrogen stimulated. And women have more oxytocin receptor sites in our amygdala, which is the fight or flight center of our brain. So when we lose estrogen, we actually miss out on a stress response that we used to lean into, which is called the tend and befriend stress response. We all know this. You had a stressful day. You call your bestie and you're like, hey, I'm going to verbally that's because you're getting oxytocin and it calms your stress response. Well, when you go through menopause, your oxytocin system has been dialed down. So you no longer can do superficial relationships. So all of a sudden you need a deeper connection from your husband. You need your bestie more than ever before, which is why you see people like Jane Fonda who have said, I wouldn't even exist without my girlfriends as I age. We definitely need that girlfriend time. So the initiation is really an inquiry where you ask yourself when these symptoms come up, what in my life is no longer working? And can I start to let go of some of those behaviors and lean into others?
You have to pause.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to pause, people. You have to breathe.
You have to pause.
You have to pause.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pause and listen.
Yeah.
And you use the term estrogen girl gang to talk about these dopamine, serotonin, GABA, et cetera. And I just loved that. I was just this is like, we could sit around for hours talking about how fun this is and what a great opportunity menopause is for leadership, for transformation. Can you comment on what happens to women when they get to really listen to themselves and show up differently?
Yeah. So the girl gang, I just, the first time I really learned hormones, I was like, these long names don't mean anything. Like, we need to redefine this. I actually told a friend of mine who's a hormone expert, and she goes, yeah, we should make them like nail polish names.
Oh, Opie. Opie has the best nail polish.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, let's do Opie. Okay.
Okay. Well, I don't know
or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, so I will have to investigate the Opie names, but I decided to call it Estrogen's Girl Gang. And what I did in part 2 of the book is I wanted women to go, okay, my moods are off. Okay, here are the members of the girl gang that might be a little vulnerable right now, and here's the lifestyle tools I can use to bring back these neurochemicals. And then we have one on memory, and we have one on connection and exercise and sleep. So that part 2 is really about women going in and going, yes, I have this symptom. Okay, here's the neurochemical change, and here's the lifestyle that I can bring back in. And I think we don't give lifestyle enough credit. So let's use dopamine as an example. A lot of women get flat in their moods. And I don't know if you two experience that, but it's like just blah. It's like, I don't know, food doesn't excite me. Yeah. Well, that's because as estrogen went down, so did dopamine. Well, we already talked about how dopamine loves novelty. So do something new. But if you actually commit to like a new activity that you're learning. So I don't know if you've seen on Instagram right now, there's a lot of talk about grandmother hobbies.
Oh, we want to talk about
we want
grandmother
to talk about
hypothesis.
Yeah, we
sure.
can talk about that. But so my sister's a knitter. And she has knit herself so many sweaters that she keeps having to buy more armoires in her house to put them in. But I'll tell you, when she's first learned to knit, you saw her moods just totally brighten up. And when she's knitting, she's actually a more enjoyable person to be around because knitting stimulates dopamine. So learning something new and doing something, the thing about dopamine that's so interesting is dopamine is the molecule of more. It's not the molecule of enough. So it'll just keep bringing you to like, let's keep doing this. Let's keep doing this. So we as women, we get dopamine sometimes by helping people.
Yeah.
And then we help somebody and we go, oh, that was really fun. Let me go help another person and let me help another person. But when we go through menopause, our dopamine system goes down and we need to find new ways to stimulate it. And one of the recommendations I have is find a new hobby. Find something new that's just for you. That I started surfing 4 months ago.
That's great.
I'm in Santa Cruz, California, and a friend said, a 52-year-old postmenopausal woman said, "Hey, come surf with me." And I was horrible at it when I started. Surfing is an incredibly hard sport, but you know what? Every day I went out there, I was in nature. I was learning something. I got oxytocin from the people that were hanging out there. Everybody was really supportive. And I would come out of the water so happy. And my husband looked at me, he's like, "I've never seen you so happy." And I would say, "I didn't even catch a wave today. I suck at this sport. But you know what? I'm not doing it for any outcome. I don't care. I just want to keep learning something new." And can I tell you that when you commit to learning something new, you bring dopamine back. So the first part that I really want to emphasize on this girl gang is you have the ability to bring these members back quickly. Yeah. And that's what I wanted to show, as opposed to what happens when you walk into your doctor's office and they say, "Oh, you're depressed. You need an antidepressant." No, you need to reorganize your life so you're doing something fun just for you.
Yeah, it's the beginner mindset, right?
It's the beginner mindset.
Yeah. Be excited.
When I turned 50, I decided I was going to do 50 new things at 50.
Oh, I love that.
And so I did it and I documented it on Facebook and I told everybody that I was doing, and it was everything from, float tank to, a new restaurant to, a new different style of clothes. Like it was crazy.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
But it was fun. And so then my friend who's 20 years older than me, she's like, "Well, what am I doing at 80? Because what are you doing at 60?
Yeah, I was going to say, we've got 60 coming.
I think that's a great idea. And that's probably you probably had a lot of happiness that year.
I did. Yeah. And then we went into COVID. So whatever.
Oh, bummer. That's a whole nother
conversation. That is a whole other conversation.
Yeah. But I want to point something out that it's not complicated. Right. And this is what I tried to bring forward with Fast Like a Girl. Losing weight was not complicated. We just had to change the timing of people's food. And then all of a sudden they started to drop weight. That's what I'm saying here in Age Like a Girl. When you're depressed, when you're anxious, when you can't think straight, like the brain fog, then let's go revisit these members of the girl gang and look at where there are holes in your lifestyle that aren't bringing these neurochemicals into play.
Yeah. And some of the, we're big fans of lifestyle medicine, if you want to call it that. But can you just quick punch, what are some of the other lifestyle habits or areas, if we will, that we could go to? Exercise, obviously, nutrition. What else would you say? Yeah,
there's a lot of really fun ones that I put in there. So, of course, I got to go to the one that's the most near and dear to my heart, which is when a woman after 40, when she goes through menopause, so this applies to 70-year-olds and 80-year-olds, your brain becomes less efficient at using glucose. So eating to fuel your brain becomes less efficient. And if you are eating a highly processed diet, you are damaging your brain even more, because too much refined flours, too many refined sugars, and you are elevating glucose, and your brain doesn't know what to do with that. This is why they call Alzheimer's diabetes type 3, because the brain is just swimming in glucose and it can't use it. And so what that feels like to a 43-year-old or a 45-year-old going through the process is brain fog. The antidote to brain fog is use a different fuel source. And that fuel source is called a ketone. And you don't have to go into long fasts, but if you start to fast as little as 13, 14, 15 hours every day, you're going to give your brain a dose of ketones. And your brain fog will go immediately. I'm talking days, like a day to a couple of days, the brain fog will be gone. Because you now have given your brain the fuel source it wants as it ages. It doesn't want glucose. It can't use glucose. It needs a ketone.
Yeah.
And ketones are free. You can make them for free.
Doesn't cost anything.
Doesn't cost anything. So that would be one example of just switch your timing of your food, and let's get you off the junk food, and you're going to watch your brain come back online. Now, let's juxtapose that to a woman that goes into her doctor's office and says, I'm depressed, I'm irritable, and I have brain fog, I can't focus. And then the doctor is now down medication paths, trying to find the right medication that could take months to figure out, because, even antidepressants aren't the magic cure that they used to think they were. Right. Whereas you can start fasting 13 to 15 hours every day, get a ketone, and within 2 days, your brain comes back online.
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And 13 to 15 hours is not a lot.
Not hard.
It sounds like a lot, but if you really do the math in your 24-hour day, most of that's sleep.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
We have a million questions for you, and we're short on time. But one of the things that we alluded to earlier, and the thing we really wanted to talk to you about, was the grandmother hypothesis.
Yes,
you are
let's talk about it.
Huge fan of the grandmother hypothesis and its evolution of women and how women are prepared to be the wisdom and be helping each other during that time. Break that down for us. Tell us more. I know this comes from Lisa Mosconi's work, so let's give Dr. Mosconi the acknowledgement that of course deserves there. But you're really a strong advocate for this, and I'd love to hear your point of view on it.
Well, I think evolutionary biology helps us understand how our bodies work. I mean, look at fasting. That was an evolutionary hack that once people figured out, oh, wait, I lose weight when I have an eating window and a fasting window, or I can actually bring my brain back online when I don't eat. And all of a sudden you start to see that there's some evolutionary mechanisms inside our body that work for us that we don't use in the modern world. So I had already had a history of going back and looking at evolutionary biology. So when I wanted to answer what's the purpose of menopause, I started thinking, well, what did they do back in the primal days? Now, we have to first acknowledge that they didn't live as long as we lived. But what I stumbled upon was this thing called the grandmother hypothesis. And the grandmother hypothesis states that when a woman in the primal days stopped having her period, she was actually moved to a place of leadership within the tribe. Because they knew back then that she got renewed energy because she wasn't putting so much energy towards reproduction, which is mind-blowing when you think about it. It's like, oh my God, I didn't even realize how much energy it took to release an egg every month. But what the grandmother hypothesis says is that when your reproductive system stops, the energy it took your body to keep releasing an egg every single month is given back to you. And it's used for 3 areas. Fitness is one, which is crazy because how many women are like, oh, I'm getting older now, I can't work out anymore. Cognition is the other, and social connection is the third. And then let me put this through the lens of the grandmother hypothesis. So what happened in the primal days was when a woman was moved to this leadership position, she would go out and gather with the other grandmothers every single morning from the research I can find and from talking to actually Kristen Hawkes was one of the anthropologists that's a big champion of the grandmother hypothesis. These women every single day would go on a 7-hour trek to forage for food. The men would go out for days trying to get a big animal kill. They only came back with an animal kill 3% of the time, which means 1 day out of 30. We would not be sitting here with odds like that. So the grandmother, what she did when she didn't have her reproductive system, she joined the other grandmothers, and 7 hours every day, they went out and searched for tubers. Tubers are like sweet potatoes, sunchokes, jicama, turnips, potatoes. And she had to go and walk for miles to find these tubers. And then she would squat and dig in the ground and grab the tubers, put them on her back, and then comes back to the tribe and the clan. And she feeds the fertile mom, the pregnant mom, or the nursing mom, and the little children that couldn't go out into and hunt for an animal. So she had a leadership position within the culture. Yeah. And they believe we are sitting here right now because of the postmenopausal woman. We would not have evolved as a species if we didn't have this backup plan for food. Okay, so now let's take the grandmother hypothesis and let's put it next to what happens to us today as we age. Today, as we age, probably, I think we're changing this, but we're so scared of aging that we're freezing our faces. We are dyeing our hair. Plastic surgery is through the roof because women are terrified to age. Okay, why are we terrified to age? Because our culture tends to toss us aside. Yeah. An aging woman isn't considered necessary, isn't considered useful in our culture. But in the primal days, we brought the food home when the men were gone. So why I wanted to bring this forward is that when I looked at that and I squared it with Lisa Mosconi's work on the brain changes that were happening, this lateralized brain, the cross-reference brain we talked about earlier, I realized all of a sudden that the best time of her life is post-reproductive, and our brains were meant to be leaders. And I'm going to even go as deep to say that I think they want us to fear aging because if they actually let postmenopausal women embrace their power, we would take over the world. That's why, seriously, that's why I had to do an appendix to men. It's why I had to do an appendix to corporations, because the best brain a woman has is the postmenopausal brain. It is built for leadership. It is built for focus. It is built for social connection. And that is not what's getting out there in the zeitgeist.
And that's when they're shoving them aside.
That's right.
And pushing them out.
That's right.
I'm telling you right now, we're putting that quote of you speaking that on every social media site for a very long time to come. That is
so
true.
Brilliant.
It's so true. Yeah.
And feels like there's a purpose. Right.
Thank you. Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to bring forward is there's a purpose for all of this. So do the inquiry, figure out why you're depressed and the rage, do the lifestyle tools, take HRT if you're thinking about it, but buck up, because where you're going, we need you. We need you to stand up and tell your truth. We need you to lead us out of a mess that the world is in right now. 1 billion women in menopause right now could change the conversation that's going on in our culture, could change the misogyny and the fascism that's happening across the world. But if long as they keep us timid and scared of becoming invisible, we don't step into our power. Menopause is the moment you get to finally step into the most powerful version of you. And that is what I'm trying to wake up in women by understanding the process.
And it feels good. It feels good. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what's one thing you want people to take away from your book, but I think you just said it right
that
there.
Yeah.
is it. Yeah.
Don't disappear. Please don't disappear. We need you. Please don't disappear. And we don't need you to be like anybody else. We need the authentic version, the unique version of you. So I share a story in the book that my sister was brilliant and had photographic memory, and my mom was a math teacher, and it consumed my mom's energy trying to figure out what schools she should go to. I'm a very out of the box creative thinker. In the 1970s, we didn't know what to do with out of the box creative thinkers. I would have been probably diagnosed as neurodivergent, which is a term that's coming up more often. But instead, I was thought of as dumb. I was thought of as less intelligent than my sister. When I went through menopause, I started realizing that one of the special skills that I have is pattern recognition. I can see across many different types of people. I can see the through line. I think this is how I came up with Age Like a Girl. I'm like, there's a purpose. Okay, let me look at the grandmother hypothesis. Let me look at neuroscience. Let me look at societal messaging. I brought in the teachings of a mystic, and let's see what the through line was. So I took back my own belief about who I was. And I stand very proudly saying, I consider myself brilliant now. And I say that with a humble spirit. But you're talking to a woman who was told that she was not as smart as her sister. She wasn't killing it at school. Well, you give me a multiple choice question and you only gave me 4 answers. And there's like 10 more answers that wasn't listed there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's such a good
And it's
point.
a shame that you had to be, this old to
Right.
realize that you are smart. And when other people look at you, just like other people look at other people, like, what are you even talking about?
How do you,
Had an
why would you ever
amazing
think
career,
that?
I know.
Like, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why, this is why I'm being as authentic as I can, because I want women to see themselves. Like, yours might not be your intellect. Maybe you think you weren't beautiful. And then all of a sudden you realize that one of the most beautiful things in a woman is confidence. And when you are confident, you're beautiful. And maybe you come into that awareness. Right. Or maybe something was taken away from you as a little girl. Like, one of the reasons surfing became really important for me is that when I was in the 7th grade, I grew up in Malibu, and I went out surfing one day, and a boy I liked that was in my classroom turned to me, this is the 1970s, and said, "Mindy, what are you doing out here? Girls don't surf." Yeah. And so at 56, I'm taking back all the messaging, all the things people told me I couldn't do, or who I was or who I wasn't. And I'm gathering those back, and I'm standing in the most authentic version of me. And that's what I want every woman to do, because that's the initiation.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And I wish with your book, and we're gonna obviously have this podcast on everywhere, but I wish that there was just sound bites that went along with your book, because I can sense your energy and your enthusiasm, and it's absolutely contagious. I gathered that energy in reading through the book, but having you on has just been an absolute joy.
Thank
because
you.
I really can sense your passion and your energy and your confidence, and it is beautiful.
Thank you.
So,
thank you.
Thank you for bringing it.
I will tell you one cool thing that we're working on, because the reason that I wrote this book is to open this conversation up, and so that we can all step into it. So stay tuned, because we're working on a conversation deck. Perfect. Where you could get together with your girlfriends, you could get together with your husband, and you could pull out a card and you could start to ask each other questions and have conversations. Like, we started practicing the other day. I did this with my best friend, and the question was, if we traded bodies, what's the first thing you would do if you had my body? Well, my best friend is tall. And I'm like, oh my God, if I had your body, I would start putting everything on a top shelf. But I'm trying to keep the conversation. I say this to just say, I'm trying to keep the conversation going. So, my dream is when people get the book is share it, talk about it. This is for all of us. So I appreciate the compliment. And this is for all of us to step into this initiation and do it our way, our individual way.
Yeah. And it's a tool. So again, I love that I can take something away from that and keep that conversation going. Okay. We ask all of our guests this question. So we'll ask you, what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
So when I was first in practice, my father had taught me that you're worthy if you work hard. And so I was working literally 7 days a week seeing patients. I saw Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Wow. And I had a rocking practice and it was full and I was in my late 20s. It was very exciting. And then I had a mentor pull me aside and he told me two things. One, he said, and this was back in the 90s, he said, you would never ask Michael Jordan, if people remember Michael Jordan, we'd never ask Michael Jordan to play an NBA playoff game for 10 hours. You've got to take rest. You have to recover. You can't work at that. And the second thing he told me, and probably the thing that hit me the hardest, is that he said, you will never work a day in your life if you put yourself constantly in service and you serve a mission, you help people, you think about how to bring forward a message that will change the lives of many. Mm-hmm. And that one mentor, he's still a good friend. And it was the most impactful thing that I learned is rest. And make sure that your work is something that's changing the cultural conversation, changing the lives of millions. And I don't think you have to have it be career-wise. I think for the women that maybe don't have a career, it could be that you make a decision that you're going to be kind to every single person that you meet. Every time you go, I was just traveling this weekend. And when I went past the TSA people, I was like, thank you for being here. I know you're not getting paid. Now, I could have easily just left that, but I wanted to make sure that I was constantly having gratitude for those people. So a servant's heart, it works.
Beautiful.
I love that. It's making the world a better place when you exit than when you came.
That's right.
Make it a better place. Yeah.
Thank you.
Dr. Mindy, where can we find you?
I'm kind of everywhere. I would tell you that my passion project is my YouTube channel. So a lot of my new information and new ways of describing it is going to be is always on my YouTube channel. I have a podcast too called the Resetter Podcast. I'm trying to bring on people of all different backgrounds there so that we can have, again, everybody can make their own decision about what they think around their health. And then, the book is everywhere and you can go to my website, but YouTube is really where I put my heart and soul.
Okay, perfect. We'll put that in show notes. And until we meet again, everyone, go find joy in the journey.
Thanks, Dr. Mindy.
Take good care.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Medovia Menopause Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for future episodes, leave a review, and share this episode with a friend. Medovia is out to change the narrative. Learn more at medovia.com. That's MIDOVIA.com.